Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad to have you crafting with me today. It is a really hot sunny day here on the Gold Coast and of course we're going to crank that air conditioning and do some crafting today. I have also set up a little more of a live filming situation. I got a new mic over the Christmas period so that I could film my videos more in a, one-on-one sort of situation rather than, filming everything and popping a little voiceover over the top. So please bear with me while I, dip my toe into filming live. So here we go. Today, what are we working on? Well, as you know, I've mentioned in a couple of videos, I have this little area at my local op shop where basically they put a bunch of shopping trolleys that they own and things that get donated that they don't deem saleable get stacked up into these trolleys. And if those trolleys don't get emptied by the end of the day, that goes to landfill. And while that's kind of sad because I can only get there every so often, when I do get there, I'm able to find some really amazing treasures. And usually they're kind of in a bit of a dilapidated state. But that's the point, right? They don't think that they can sell them, so they just give them away. And it is a treasure trove for junk journaling, art journaling supplies. However, usually you will find things like this, where I think when I picked this up, it had just a few pages left, if any. I think it might have even just been the cover that I found. So basically, I found this, and it is going to be the perfect little cover for a project that I've had in my mind. I've been really wanting to create a journal that is just in this color scheme. So blue, white, and red, with a few obviously other little colors like black for outline and things like that. And I'm not sort of, pigeonholing myself into using only 3 colors. I think, the monochromatic scheme of those colors will also be good. So light blue and then pink, of course. We need some pink. We need that. That's life. So I want to use this as the cover. Now, because this book didn't have any pages in it, obviously an altered book would be a great place to start. But because it didn't have any pages in it, I want to add obviously we need to add some pages for a signature. And in prepping for this project, I did do a little deep dive into my stash, and I want to show you a few of the things that I pulled out to use. Now, I've got everything in this little tub here and in a little sewing sort of situation. So I've just pulled out all the ephemera that we can potentially use. So I found some postage stamps. Obviously we're looking at the blues and reds here. The more monochromatic. So blue, but with very few other colors, red with very few other colors. I've got some stickers here. And you know what happened? And I wanted to share this with you because I'm hoping that as we start this video, you might have a little, look around your craft room, see what you can find. But I wanted to share my experience just quickly in picking out all of these bits and pieces. So when I decided I wanted a, red, blue, and white color scheme, it's funny how your eye just sort of then glances over things and you're just drawn to those colors, right? Because that's what your brain is telling you to pick out. But what happened was I started to get a situation where there wasn't really any rhyme or reason in terms of a theme to the pieces I was selecting. And it kind of ended up looking a little bit like a soup, but not necessarily a soup that you wanted to eat. So I then decided, okay, I need to be a little bit more selective and pick out things that feel like they go together. The ingredients need to be harmonious if it's going to taste good. Yes, I think so. So when I was flipping through picture books, and in keeping with the theme of the cover as well, I wanted this cover to then sort of dictate what we're going to be using. So I ended up going with kind of a theme of like children's book images, quilting, paper dolls. Are you getting the vibe? This is the vibe. These sort of stitching, kind of a little bit, a bit vintage, a bit retro. And I sort of tended to then stick with that theme, rather than just every single item that was either blue, red, or white. I've definitely been trying to find images that feel like they speak to each other. So other than the actual cover being a inspiration, there's also, and I need to duck into the family archives to find the photo because I do want to include a picture of it. But when my sister and I were young, we used to have these matching little dresses. So this was in the 90s. These little dresses, they were blue and white stripe, and they had this amazing like Peter Pan collar with a little rose and some red rickrack that sort of went around the collar. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And we called them our show dresses because we would wear them pretty much only to the local shows, or I guess you would call it like a fair or a fete if you're overseas. But here they're like shows. So basically like, carnival rides, food, animals that you can pat, that type of thing. So I wanted to use that as like inspiration as well. So this journal really needs to feel like the type of vibe that my sister and I would have been exposed to back in that time in our lives. So soft images, quilting, doilies, sewing, little paper dolls, animals. I think I'm hoping that is coming across in these pieces. So polka dots, got some tissue paper, some pretty index cards. What have we got? Some ticking stripe and some soft little 6x6. We've got my favorite flower, hydrangea, napkins. I pulled out some of this that might be a bit too heavy, but we'll see. Same with this, might be a bit too loud, but how could you not have, like, I feel like he's iconic with the blue, red and white. And see what I'm saying? This is another book from the trolleys area where it's just not, I would say this book has 0 to no life left in it. So great to pick up for crafting. We've also got some sewing, like needle and thread, what do you call it, bobbin stickers, some yarn labels, just some mark making, some doilies. Are you getting the vibe? Are you getting the vibe? I just thought these little hearts in particular, not necessarily the rest, some stickers and labels with some text on them. I've got a paper bag here. I love this combination, the sort of soft turquoise and the bright red. Some knitting needles and a zipper, some quilling paper strippies, just some little tags. Oh, it was so much fun just standing at my shelves there, pulling all of these items out and popping them in my tray. I've got just some other books here, as well as some other sewing, just ephemera that would look great on the page. Some, this is kind of that soft, I don't know what you call that you use to make sewing patterns out of. Some other little books that I sort of thought maybe, but I'm not sure. And then, so I'll just pop these all back in here because this is what we're going to pull from as we work through these journal pages. And I'm hoping that if I can give you some inspiration, you might be able to pause this video, run to your stash, grab some bits and pieces in a color scheme that you might be attracted to, and you can work along with me. We can do it together. It'll be so much fun. Some fabric, obviously, I mean, they just, yes, not necessarily the same tones and the same hues, but the vibe. This kind of freaky, but also I love it. This was like a fun little Raggedy Ann doll pattern that I picked up from the op shop, but look at this. Beautiful, so beautiful. Like florals, just not too loud, but loud enough that they've got some nice strong colours to them. This little piece, unfinished, perfect. Got some ribbons here, some laces, love it. And then some, what do you call this? I guess it's ribbon, but it's just where they cut those huge strips of fabric into ribbon. Beautiful. And that is pretty much going to do it. So for now, so I'm going to put all of that to the side to give myself a bit of room here to work, because today we are going to hopefully build out the signature for this. And I also want to get the first kind of page done that's going to sort of set the vibe for the journal. So one of the things I thought of when I was trying to figure out what pages to use in this book to build the signature was, obviously this book didn't have, or I think it didn't have anything. I think I just literally grabbed it like that from the trolleys. I found these. So I have, again, from the trolleys, I have a little box that's just got all of these old book pages, and usually they are from the trolleys where the cover has been destroyed or there is no cover, and I just grab the pages because so pretty, and there's nothing that I would be able to do to a page to give it that natural aged look. So when I was looking through that little box to try and find some paper for the signature here, I found this, and it's already got some blue sort of around the edge. So I'm hoping that like peeking out through might look very pretty. Now, the thing about that is that it's only got, as a singular page, you can't see that. And even 2 or 3 bundled up, you're not going to really get that, the full intensity of that little bit of extra color there. So what I think I'm going to do is glue a few pages together, and then of course, because it's not big enough, unless we want the cover sort of very much overlapping, I think I'm going to just add some music sheet paper to the spine of the page. So I've got some, which actually this cover would look fabulous in the journal as well. But I've got some nice sort of vanilla-y music paper here to use to sort of add some extra width to our page as well. So first things first, I want to just grab a few of these. And I don't know this book, Sunshine Years, but then it's also got, I don't know if it's like some sort of cheeky like Mills and Boon style. I don't know. I didn't really read the pages. I probably should have. But anyway, so what we're going to do, let me know if you know this book, The Sunshine Years, Norma Klein. Could be anything, literally could be anything, but it doesn't matter because we're going to cover this up. Now, so I don't get glue just all over my desk here. And I sort of like the idea of one of the pages being something different, you know, every other one maybe will be like hopefully a blank page or, you know, something. All right, so we're just going to use a dry glue here and glue these together. Now I'm thinking 2 signatures, 2 small ones, maybe 2 signatures of 6, which would give us 12 fascias to work through. What do we think? So I'm just going to line that up on the outside because, of course, we're going to stabilize the inside with our music sheet paper. So just going to line that up. And I'll grab my bone folder here. And then I'm going to do the same here. Just take the glue right to the edge. And to get that down. Oh, the sun's just gone over there. It's got a little bit dark. The weather is just crazy here at the moment, everyone. So I live on the Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia, which is Ugamba in our native peoples. And the weather is just crazy, like every season in a day. Okay, so I know this is subtle, but I think it will be fine. So I've done another one, and I think are you getting the vibe? Like once they're all together, I think there'll be enough of that blue peeking through that we'll get some value out of it. So what do we need to do next? We need to plan out how we're going to add our extra bit. So I'm thinking if I just grab just a paper clip, and it's probably going to come out over the edge, but that's okay because I do want that blue to be a feature. So I don't mind if it ends up, because you know how whenever you put paper together, it always ends up being wider than what you planned. That's fine. I'm okay with that. So, because what we can do is we can just make one, and then we can rinse and repeat the process over and over, you know, until we've got enough pages for our signature. So I'm thinking that, oh, and don't mind, I have to have the door open because it's so blisteringly hot here. And that means you'll hear my cuckoo clock occasionally. So don't mind that in the background. So I've got my, you know how when you like fold things out, they always end up sort of peeking over the edge, but that's okay. So we're going to grab a page out of our music book here, and let's get one that's a little bit exciting. I have used some of this before, so maybe something, I do like them when they don't have as much writing on them. So maybe something like this. Yeah, that's nice. And then we should be able to basically double our real estate and get 2 pages out of one sheet. Which do we think? Maybe this one. All right, so we're going to pull that out. And then I've got my ruler. So I need to just figure out. So I'm thinking 14. So do we want it going, maybe we'll have it going that way, because then we can double the amount that we get out of each page, because then we can use one sheet as the front and the back. That's going to bolster the amount of paper that we've got holding these pages in place, and I think that will work quite well. Maybe 7 centimeters from the edge, and that'll give us like enough where this is like enough of a feature, and then we still get enough of this as a feature as well. And then, so that'll make this maybe, I don't know, why don't we say 12? So 24 centimeters I'm going to go. But of course, this will depend on, just take this as like a rough guide of what you yourself, you know, take this idea, take the concept, remanufacture in for whatever project you're working on. So I think 24. So I'll grab a pencil here. 24. We don't need to be fussy about it because it's going to be mostly covered up anyway. And I do want that pretty edge. So we're just going to tear that down. We'd like it to be a little bit straight, but again, it's all relative. And then we can fold that over and then add a beautiful raw torn edge to the top. So now we've got two pieces, front and back. And I'm thinking if we, all right, so we've got our little strippy. Sorry, my co-inhabitant just came home, so I needed to shut the door just for a moment. So, okay, so we've got our little, and I'm just lining this up just to make sure it's, you know, reasonably straight in relation to each other. And then we need to attach this. So we want the most interest out of it. I really like the little treble clefs there. Oops. So what did we say, about 7 centimeters in? That'll just sort of give us an idea of where to put the glue. Obviously we only need to glue so far. And then stick this down. And then before we actually, you know, smoosh it, we'll just work out where roughly, so that's about 7. Oh, so close. Doesn't need to be perfect because, as I say, you'll turn the page, you won't even notice because there'll be lots of decoration on here. So let's glue that down. And then, so this is a way of just basically extending these pages to fit within the confines of our cover. And also use up some of this cute paper that's got the blue edge that I've been saving for something. I guess you could do it the same thing if you had, you know, inking or... All right, so I'm sort of seeing that from this angle, this bit seems to be a bit longer than this bit. So I might just take that over just the slightest amount because of course we were doing that. Although maybe I should have left that and then just pulled this one out. Oops. A little bit fussy, that's okay. Do as I say, not as I do. Oh dear. Oh dear. Lucky it's just paper, isn't it? Okay, there we go. So hopefully that'll still be okay. Let's just triple check because it's sort of a little bit blind. Oh, we've gone way out. We've gone way out. So we just need to rein that back in. Hang on, try again. Do you ever wish that, like, actually there was just like a Control-Z, but in real life? Like, okay, just undo. Like, just take me back quickly to where I was 2 seconds ago. Like, just Control-Z, but papercraft version. I'm so all over the place. Sorry, I've just managed to... But, you know, get the first one right-ish, and then the rest will just follow. Okay, that's pretty good. The rest will just follow because you'll just use this as a template and line everything up against this, not this. All right, how do we go there? That's pretty good. All right, just make sure that's still sticky. And just a dry glue because we are using reasonably thin paper. And I don't think we want it to get too soggy. So pop that down. Some more beautiful paper on top. And this time we might try and get these numbers and treble clefs on the bottom. Just going to line that up. Now, then all we need to do, I should probably leave that to dry just for a moment, but all we need to do then is line up this with this, and then you could use a knife if you prefer it to be nice and straight and not have the tatty edge, but I love the tatty edge passionately. Okay, so then smoothing as we go, of course. See how just adding like the extra little bit of interest rather than just having all text pages, because of course these two pages won't be side by side, they'll be, you know, away from each other. I think we'll just, if we do end up having any blank real estate on the pages, that'll just give it a little bit more interest in some areas and less interest in others. So just going to fold that in half, lining up our corners, of course. And smooth it out. So it, again, doesn't matter if this is not the same as this, if it's not perfect, it's just add that extra bit of width to the page, and it's probably going to, when we add the signature and the other page, the holder, signature holder, it's probably going to stick out a little bit. I'm okay with that because I really want these blue edges to be a feature. So I'm going to rinse and repeat this process another however many times, and then I'll come back and I'll show you and we can work out what the next step is. Righto, so I managed to do three, I did 6 altogether. So 1, 2, 3. So I think we'll do 2 signatures just so it doesn't get too bulky. And then 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I think 2 signatures, and see, we are achieving just a bit more of that subtle blue edging. Yes, that was the goal. So okay, as expected, they did sort of come out a bit on the edge. I'm okay with that. Once we've got the closure, it's going to be nice and chunky, going to look great. Now, the next thing is we need to add the hole for the signature. Now, I wonder if, because I'm thinking I did sort of, you know, move ahead just as a bit of a play and see if I could get and I put holes in one of the bundles of 3 to just see if, do we think a figure of 8 pamphlet is the way to go? I'm thinking, yes, we will lose. Let me just grab my little eyelets here and have a look as to whether we can fit 2 eyelets on this teeny tiny little spine or 1. Maybe silver for the blue. Oh, I just dropped it on the floor. Try again. Here we go. So if I've got 2 signatures, I wonder if that would be just a bit too narrow. Because the spine is so narrow, I think what I'm going to do is try and add the signature to the middle. And I don't know if I should try and put the actual string for the 2 signatures through the 1 hole. Oh my gosh, I don't know. Is it gonna be too tight? I don't know. All right, I'm gonna try it, and then worst comes to worst, nothing. It's just paper. So let's see how we go here. So what we need to do is find the middle, which is, let's see, we're working with about 2 centimeters worth of real estate here, so not much at all. And I'm just thinking, do we want to decorate this before or after? Maybe before. Oh, do we want that to show through? I mean, it's kind of interesting. No, maybe after. Let's go after. As I said before, the worst that can happen is nothing. So we're going to measure a midpoint. So that's 1 centimeter for me. If yours was a big, thick book that you're altering, maybe it would be more than that. And then when I was just tapping about just then, I put holes. So these pages are 18 centimeters high. So I did put a mark at the halfway point, which is 9, and then halfway again between those 2. Oh no, hang on, sorry. Actually, I did 4 centimeters from the top, 4 centimeters from the bottom, and then a halfway point. So 9. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this as a guide and line up where my pages are sitting within the real estate of this cover. And then on this, where I've measured my my vertical spot, I'm just going to put 1 mark there, 1 mark there, and 1 mark there. And then, before we get too in depth, I'm going to also mark these the same. This way. So we're just going to mark there, there, there. I would really love to round these corners, but then I would be cutting off some of the blue, so can't do that. I'm thinking we'll use this airmail string to tie off the signature. It's different tones to the cover, but it's, I think, you know, as we said, they're still talking, everything's still talking to each other because it's in that really pretty blue. Now I don't have an awl, I need to get one. I've always just made do with some other thing. So today that some other thing is a giant crochet needle that you use to tie in your ends on your crochet. So it's got a big eye hole. So that's what we'll be using today to do all of our sewing in. So actually before we get sorted here, I'll also just quickly check that I like the order of the pages. I did notice, see, this is that's quite busy there. So maybe something a bit more, I mean, it's subtly different, but yeah, just something a bit more gentle back to back. It's a subtle choice difference, but I do want this book to have a gentleness and a calmness about it, like visually stimulating but calm as well. Okay, so I think what we need to do next is punch our holes. Now bear with me because I haven't actually used this tool before. We'll see if it works. Hopefully it does. So this is hopefully all things being equal. Actually, I might be able to just punch a hole with this. It's a very old print, this paper, so do that, and then I might be able to, yes, so I can punch them. I can punch them from the back side, which might be better. So we're just going to line this up nice and neat. And all things being equal, this should just hammer through, but we'll see. If I use the little tool that it comes with, does that help? Sorry, this is... Okay, it does work. That's pretty good. Wow, I love that. Having a little... Oh my gosh, I'm just simply having too much fun here. Okay, so again, I just need to re-establish that hole because it's not quite straight there. I'll try again. And then pop the little tool in here. If you have a fancy crocodile or one of those types of things, feel free to bust that baby out at this point. But we're rocking the old school here today. Something actually kind of charming about it, and that's like the name of the game for this project is charming. Like when I was putting together all of these things, I just really wanted to feel like I was creating something charming, like Secret Garden, Little Women, you know the vibe. That's what we're doing. So pretty nifty little tool, hey? Cool. Right. So next we need to, and I'm hoping that's relatively straight. And then next we need to put our eyelets in. Cool. Love it. I've just put that in back to front, haven't I? So that goes there. Oh, I can never remember which way to do this. I can never remember. Hang on, it'll come to me. No, it's the other way around. I was right the first time. Okay, here we go. Well, you know, it's just one of those things. It's like streets, right? Like I have a very, very bad sense of direction, as in like I remember I remember how to get somewhere when I'm driving in the car. But if you said to me like, oh, you know, get off this street and then turn left and then you'll be on this street, and then, you know, like, oh, did you see what happened on whatever street? I just don't, and when I'm using the GPS, I sort of have to, I mean, this is confession time 101. Like I'm exposing my weaknesses here, but like if you, I have to kind of turn the phone to be, but it's like I always say, like loud noise. It's like I always say, like, why would I need to commit such a thing to memory when I I'm committing literally everything else to memory. Like, isn't that what the GPS is for? So that we don't have to use some of our precious headspace to remember such things. This is kind of like that. Like, okay, I'll figure it out on the day. I'll remember on the day what we were doing, and it all comes back. But, you know, oh, that's not quite, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to sit in there. All right, loud noise. I think silver's nice. Silver's nice for this type of journal color scheme, I think. What do you think? And are you doing something similar? Did I inspire you to pick up something that's all in the same color palette? Now, I might be breaking a bunch of journal or book building rules by putting both of these signatures in the same hole, but you know, we'll see what happens. As I said earlier, the worst that can happen is nothing. If the worst happens, we'll just put all the pages on the same bit of string, and that'll be fine too. It'll stick out a little, but it'll be fine. So I'm going to do a figure of 8 pamphlet stitch. I'm going to give myself plenty of room here. And then I'm going to be bold. Let's be bold and display some confidence that this is going to work. Yes, I love the energy. And I also love the energy of putting the cap back on your glue stick so it doesn't dry out while you're faffing about with string. All right, here we go. So we're just going to thread. This is where a huge needle like this comes in handy. I thrifted this inside a ball of wool. What a turn of good fortune. What an absolute turn of good fortune. Now, if we go, this might be fussy. Hang on, let me just get my bearings. So we're going to go through the top because I don't want to have my stringy bits hanging from the middle. I want them to hang from the top. So we're going to go through the top. And this is why I gave myself plenty of leeway, just because a little bit fussy. Oh, make sure all your pages are up the right way. That's also good. But it does that's not essential, of course. And then we're going to feed that through one page at a time if necessary. Feed those through. Beautiful. Okay. Right, we're off to the races. Next, we're going to go through the middle. And again, I haven't committed this to memory yet. So I'm just going to show myself some grace if I've actually forgotten how to do this properly. And I'm going to come back through here. Okie dokie. Then we're going to go through here. Is that right? Yes, I think so. I think we're good. We're going to come back through here. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okie doke. Oh, I think we're cooking with gas, everyone. So then we're gonna, okay, she's starting to look a bit like a book. Then we're gonna come back through this middle hole, which should be hopefully getting some nice girth about the hole there to fit this through. So we're gonna come through here. We're gonna come back out the middle hole. Yes. tie it off. Fantastic. Righto. Okay, now we're going to just give this a little tug, just the gentlest of tugs, so that she's nice and snug. Perfect. Well, I'm not sure it's perfect just yet, but I like where we're going. So we're going to tie this off here. And I'm just going to tie it off. I'm going to leave all my tails long, and I'm just going to tie it off in a bow for now. And there's a very good reason for that, because if you're like me, you like to just have options. It's all about having options, okay? So because these eyelets are so much thicker than the string that I'm using to bind this, look at all that extra room. So actually this should work. And what's brilliant too, now granted we are going to have 2 pieces of string here, so bear that in mind. It's going to have some more like fussiness on the spine here. But if then down the track I'm becoming obsessed with this project and I want to add some more signatures, I reckon I probably could. Now granted, it might be thick. I'm going to get thick, but that's okay. So I've started out with 2 of these batches of 3. So that's going to give us 12. I think I've got that right. 12. So 3 times 2 times 2 is 12. Yes. So 12 of these, and 12 fascias. But if I want to keep adding to it, I can. I love that. The options. So we're just going to repeat the same process. So we're going to come through the top, because I want my dangle at the top of the project. If you want it at the bottom or the middle, that works too. Make sure these are all up the right way. Feed that through. Okay, then we're going to come through the middle, one at a time if necessary. Now, you can always reinforce these holes on your pages if you want to, especially where the string is coming in and out of the hole. But we're going to more than likely be decorating over the top of that. So I think it will get some extra string and, extra pictures and stabilization from paper over it anyway. So where are we going? Oh yes, we're going down here through the bottom hole. I mean, how satisfying is this? It looks so pretty already, and we haven't added a shred of decorating. Out the other side, and we're going to give it the gentlest of tugs just to make sure that everything's nice and snug. Don't want to pull on it too tight, because then you will rip the hole. So not too tight with the hole, with the pulling, but we don't want it to fall to pieces. And then we're going to tie it off. so excited about this project. I feel like it's one of those things that's just been on my to-do list for ages. And then when I found this cover in my stash, because I was like, I'm going to do that red, white and blue project. I'm going to do it. The time is now. And I found this cover. Oh, goodness, I was excited. I was so excited. There we go. So, look how cute. That's so cute. Now, we didn't decorate the inside cover. I think I may end up sort of coercing the decor from the inside cover over onto here. But that part of the actual book bind, and then, you know, if we need to, we can add, you could add even, I reckon you could even add, I was going to say maybe 2 more of these, but I guess it depends how chubby these get with decorating. I love it. Right, I'm not going to do the very first page. I do want to work in here though. Page 1 of our little journal here, our blue, red and white journal. And I had a little sift through my stash that I showed you earlier with everything and pulled out what I wanted, because obviously a project like this where you do have a lot of ephemera to use, it can feel a little bit overwhelming to even figure out where to start in terms of what am I going to put with what on a page. It's a lot. So we're going to let the ephemera tell us what to do. And by that I mean we're going to start with one idea and we're going to work off of that. We're going to build off that one idea. And this was it. So I did pull out a bunch of my Frankie magazines. I don't have a lot of these. I actually sold my collection of Frankie magazines to a school so that they could use them for their craft room while I was decluttering. They would have been useful now, but anyway. So we've got like I've got a couple of Frankie magazines that I found at the fabled trolley section. I've also got a couple of little tiny atlas, and what's this other one? Boat magazine. And they're all magazines that have this smooth paper, not the shiny paper. Some of the older Frankies have shiny paper. I think this one that I'm using a bit later on does have shiny paper, but these ones are great because they're paper, not magazine paper. And I really, in keeping with our theme, I really loved the idea of using a lot of images in this journal that have the sky, because one of my core memories from being a kid, not only obviously because the sky is white and blue in these images, but one of my core memories as a kid is definitely lying on the grass. We had a big lawn. We were very lucky. We had a big lawn, and I used to lie on the grass and just watch the sky. The most fun. And so incorporating a lot of images of the sky into this journal is kind of integral in communicating that sort of naivete, childhood sort of message that I want to include. So this to me, and also in keeping with our, themes of sewing, patchwork, all of that, this obviously is a patchwork to me, in my mind. Now, I don't know who the photographer is of this, but this is from Tiny Atlas Quarterly Volume 1. So I grabbed that. It's not quite big enough to fill the whole page, but I like the idea of covering this. And I know what you're thinking. There are so many images on here that are not that are not red and white and blue, only blue and white. And you would be right. There are not. But I have a plan. So where's my ruler? Here. So I want to trim this down. And this page 1. It's kind of like, does anyone else who's watching play Animal Crossing, you know how there's that sort of undisclosed rule that your entryway, I mean, my entryway is never like this. My entrance is, I'm sort of rebuilding my island for the new update. But you know how there's that undisclosed rule that your entryway should sort of communicate what you want the rest of the island to be? I sort of want this to be a little bit like that. I want this to sort of set the tone. Well, I guess the very first page will set the tone, but I want this to sort of set the tone for the rest of the journal. And because it's mostly dark on this side, I'm going to be covering most of that, but we're going to create our very own little patchwork scene here. And then we're going to intermingle that on the pages that we've just built. So how are we going to do that? I had a little look in my sewing stash over the weekend because I was working on something else unrelated to journaling. But then I got excited because I was like, oh my goodness, I know. So this is a English paper pieced, very unfinished English paper pieced hexagonal quilt that I've been working on barely ever. But I did get this far with it. And I love the combination of colours here, the pink and reds, and then this sort of eggshell blue. So what I've done is I thought, oh, I want to sew this on. I want that to be on this page. I am conscious though, because I want to collage over it with paper. So if I was to, cannibalize some of our hexagons from the quilting project to use on this page, it's going to be hard to stick paper over this, and I don't know. There was something about it that just didn't quite feel right, considering we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, plus some fodder on the side here. 12 of these little squares to stitch them all on, pin them all. It's just, I felt like the page was going to get not maintain its smoothness. I felt like it was going to get real battered up real quick. So last night when I couldn't sleep, I had this idea that, okay, maybe we just need to pop a few of the hexagons on the flatbed scanner and just run them off onto sticky paper, which is exactly what I did. Now, I know that these fabrics have copyright, so just be careful when you do this. If it's for personal use, it's okay, but fabric is the same as any physical media. It has copyright, so the designer of this holds the copyright for these. So what I think I'm going to do is we're going to stick them on, and then we're going to imitate a patchwork. And so I want to cut these out, stick them on, and then they'll be on there then. And then I can sew around them with my sewing machine. There's going to be a little bit of adhesive from this, but not much. This sticky paper, it's not crazy sticky. I use it for my shop order labels. It's not crazy, but I think it'll do the job in communicating fabric and using these colors. It's not as bright as the actual fabric. I've lost my little hexagons. Where did I put them? Here. Not as bright, obviously, not as rich. The depth of color isn't quite the same, but it will do. It will do. So we're going to start by cutting these. So we need to measure what we're working with here, because then too, also we won't have the issue of, one of the other issues I was thinking of was if I was to sew the actual fabric on, we'd get like a tatty edge, like as in it would fray. So there's a lot to do. And even so, like using my fabled bear tape trick would work, but then I don't know how I would go sewing over that. That is very sticky, and it's a plastic based medium. So that would be a lot of glue and a lot of fussiness, I think. So this was just my solution. Let me know down in the comments if you have an alternative idea for this, because I would love for us to share and come up and generate ideas so that when we have these harebrained schemes as we're putting our journal pages together, we can share, you know, resources and ideas and cultivate something where, you know, oh my goodness, yes, I love that idea. I love that idea. So let me know down in the comments. All right, these are 4.5. I'm assuming by 4.5. Wouldn't that be nice? Just as a basic square? Yes. 4.5 by 4.5 centimeters. Now, one of my other amazing talents, everyone, is that I don't do inches. I'm Australian and I've never once done anything in inches. So I'm sorry if you're overseas and you're used to using inches. I don't know about that at all. So we're going to go 4.5 by 4.5, and I'm just going to map them out with dots first, because I'm not 100% confident that this is going to work. So I'm just going to use my board to line up my ruler, which should keep this all straight and equal, but we'll see how we go, which is why I'm just going to do a wee test, because if we rub out, we are going to have to rub out just a little bit. Although what I could do is I could just maybe, okay, I've just had a bit of an alternative plan here. If I just quickly cut this out and sort of stay on the line, so I know that when I do this, it's all within the confines of where there's actual design on the paper and not this white bit. If I do that, then I can map out the square on the back. So I might just do this one because I've already done it. So we'll just gently, ever so gently, draw this. See, that feels crooked, but I don't know if it is or if it's just my eyes playing tricks because of the design. And I'm not particularly concerned about the designs on the dots being all like straight. So let's just have a look. So we're basically creating our own little stickers. It doesn't look straight. I'm really concerned, but maybe it's just my eyes playing tricks. Oh, okay, it's close enough. It's close enough. Okay, the system works. So I'm going to do that, but on the back, I think might be easier because that'll just save me rubbing out time. So bear with me. I'm going to cut out enough squares out of what I've got here, and then we can work on the placement of our patchwork. Rightio. So I've made my little stickers, and look at the scraps. I'm going to put these in with the ephemera for this project, but then anything that's left over is going to go in with my washi tape because amazing. So now what we have to do is refer back to our patchwork in order to place these. Now, if we're using 3 colors, which is what I've done here, and that's what we've got here. We've got the sky, we've got the pink, and we've got the red. So what I'm hoping to do is sort of follow the same sort of structure as this, where you're basically repeating the same blocks of 3 over and over. However, this does have So I'll just pop that there on the side as inspo. This does have, though, irregularities that I want to keep. So I want to keep these blocks of sky, I think. Now I'm hoping I've got enough of these. So if we sort of start placing them, I think the way that it's going to have to go is something like this. But then also we've got irregularities here where there'll be more of a cluster. Oh, I might not have enough. Let's see. I think I ended up with 12 stickers. No, hang on. That's got to go there. I think I ended up with 12 of these where I could fit 12 hexagons. If I don't have enough, I'll have to just run out and do it again. So there, and then there, and then oh, I've only got one of these left, and that will have to go. So yeah, so it's a little bit off. So we're just going to play because I don't want it to be perfect. You know, like I don't want that. I don't want it to, like, part of being a kid is getting messy and scrappy. So that's what we're doing. That's the vibe. Now, oh, I can't believe it. I'm one short. I can't believe it. I need one more pink one here. And I might be able to salvage some scraps for these little bits down here. Might be able to make that work. And then we need more red here. All right, that's basically the layout, except I need this to be pink. Can my brain handle it being red? I think it can, because there's a chance that I'll likely be covering it anyway. So we're going to just roll with that because it seems wasteful to just go and print off a whole piece of paper just for just for one little square. So I also need to, though, just use, we're just gonna use this to try and salvage some extra bits. Now it's just a matter of, I'm going to bring this closer to me, and it's going to be a little bit fussy, but we're just going to, as best as we can, line up those squares and stick them down. Which will be, ooh. So the paper, thankfully, is a little bit forgiving. Oh, see, where they're just not exactly square, I'm going to have a little bit of a problem, but that's okay. Just do the best you can. It's only paper. It's only paper. Of course, it's going to stick to your bench a little bit, so we might just either fold these over or trim as you go. go. Oh, how stunning. Wow, we did it. Now, I was thinking while I was cutting out these little squares that if you don't have a scanner, obviously you don't need a scanner to do this. You can just cut out squares, and you certainly don't need sticky paper. Cut out squares, and you don't need this template, like this book page, obviously. Cut out squares and just map out your design. And you can see here and in the original patchwork that it's just a repeating pattern of lines, basically. So pink, blue, red, pink, blue, red, pink, blue, red. And then you just alternate that so that you don't have two of the same ones sitting next to each other. So where you've got pink, blue, red, you start with blue, red, pink. So blue, red, pink. Map it out first, have a little play on a junky piece of paper, and just use your glue stick and glue it down. Now, that being said, I am going to run this through a sewing machine. So you don't necessarily want to use a glue that's too like crazy thick. But then again, if you just wanted to use faux stitching for it, you absolutely can. So I'm going to set up my sewing machine quickly, and then we are going to add some stitches to our paper patchwork. All right, I've kind of got you propped up here. I hope this is okay. We'll just work with it. Now I've threaded my machine up with this beautiful ruby red, luminous red thread, and I think that's going to contrast nicely with the pink and also pop on the red. You could alternate threads. I think I'm just going to stick with the one. And what I'm suggesting is to leave long tails for yourself so that you can then use just a regular sewing needle to tuck your ends in. We'll tuck those in behind our paper when we're done. It's going to look a little bit scrappy and a bit messy until we get to that point. You can tuck them in as you go. I'm probably just gonna whip through the sewing and then add the do the tidy up at the end, but we'll see how we go. Now what we want to do is and I'm sort of leaning over. The machine is not super easy for me to see right now, so bear with me. I'm going to set my stitch length at maybe 9. This is not a fancy machine. It's just a regular old Joe. So, and then we just want to basically travel around the perimeter of each square. You could, if you wanted to, you could just travel and have crisscrossing. So you could travel along here all the way, and then along here all the way. You'll have crisscrossing. I sort of like the idea of doing each individual square, but again, I might eat my own words in a minute if I decide that that's not what I really want. So we're just going to see, and I'm going to line my stitch, the edge of my hexagon, or sorry, it's not a hexagon, a square up with the edge of my stitch hole there. So again, I'm sort of leaning over while I show you this first one, so we'll see how we go. And it's going to be loud, I'm sorry as well, so just bear with me. And we're just going to travel and go nice and slow. And if you get to the end, just use your handle to roll it around. Make sure your needle is still in when you get to the corner. And then again, we're going to go nice and slow, just so that we can be in control, because we are going to have lots of turning to do. So we don't want it to get away from us. So just give yourself some time and patience to go through and do this. And it doesn't matter if all of the stitches are not, it's going to be hard to turn this, hang on, bear with me. There we go. It doesn't matter if they're not all straight. This is supposed to look like a handmade quilt done by potentially a kid. So, and can we squeeze one more? Oh, just, yep. Then we're going to turn again. Line it up. Oh, I missed one there. I missed one. I didn't let it go all the way through. That's okay. Oh, can I go back? I might go back. That's naughty. You shouldn't actually do that. So do as I say, not as I do. We're just going to overstitch, but that's okay. These little extra little details are fine. All right, here we go. And if something like that does happen and it like freaks you out, I've actually, do I have an extra hole there? Oh no, that's just in the design. I was going to say, you could just, if you're really particular and fussy, you could just use a needle and thread and just add an extra stitch when you're done. Okay, and of course you don't have to do this. Faux stitching is fine. No stitching is fine. A faux blanket stitch on this would be beautiful too. And I might just roll these last few through. Okay, now we're going to give ourselves tails again. Enough slack. Oh, they're not. Hang on. There we go. Enough slack so that we can actually put our needle through these and send them to the back of the page. But that's what it looks like. It's got some nice texture. I'm happy. And you can see the holes through there, but you won't see that when it's on the page. So, all right, I'm going to go through and I'm going to do the rest of these and I will check back in when they're all done. Righto, how did you go? So I did all of this, and when I was done, each of these little squares had 2 tails on the front and 2 tails on the back. And as you can imagine, it was quite fuzzy looking. So to finish this off, all I did was get a needle with a decent sized eye. Now, this one is going to leave a little bit of a hole in your project, but if you have enough room on your, if you leave enough tail, you'll be able to work it back into one of the holes that you've already made with your machine. So you're just going to pull that through from the front. Then from the back, all you need to do is grab a little bit of sticky tape or whatever you've got, washi tape. Sticky tape's good, it's nice and strong. And trim it off. And then, dun, 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 which way do we like? I like it this way. Oh, yes! How good is that? Oh, I love it so much. It's exactly what I had in mind, but a less fussy way of making it. So rather than stitching on actual fabric, we get the vibe of the fabric. I also love that it kind of looks a little bit like the quilt is floating compared to the sky, like we're peeking through. I love it. I absolutely love it. So now we can start laying out our page. And you can see what I was saying a bit earlier about not really being too concerned about whether these pages were perfect because they're probably going to be covered, but that's okay. It's a red and blue and white journal, not a neutral journal this time. So we just need to get this stuck down. And so just got to make a little groove in the ditch there. I'm going to stick that down. Now, I also had some ephemera picked out for potential decoration ideas. Got these chickens here. These are cute. And I wanted to use this lamb. Where is he? Oh, he's here. Here he is. Look at him. So cute. And then I thought because of the, like, we've got a bit of continuity happening with the red, but also the polka dots. So a bit of repetition. And then this is like a floating border. And then these sort of tie in with the lamb, like yarn and wool and stuff. That might be cute. And then it needs, I think, one other thing. I love these little paper dolls. So these are by Fleur Harris. They were in an older edition of Frankie Mag, and they are on that glossy paper, and a bunch of them have little outfits that will fit in with the theme of the journal. So we could use those. I also just had, while I was snipping away there, this is also really cute. So it says here, "You smell like figs taste on cold nights, real life in my mouth." Love it. What does this one say? Pour à la snag. Oh, pour la song, pour les la. Oh, it's in French. No, that was never going to happen. All right, so why don't we get started? I did also think, though, maybe this and I had just like one other kind of crazy idea that we could add. So let's start. I'm going to fussy cut the little lamb. Where are my little scissors? Here they are. So I'm going to fuzzy cut this little lamb. This is just from a golden book, again, from the Fabled Trolleys. All right, I've been dabbling. I did all the fussy cutting. I've been dabbling and playing with layout. I did turn the base patchwork piece around, and when I was fussy cutting this border, I discovered that on the back of it is, and I suppose I saw this, was this little heart border. And so I was playing with that for a bit, but ended up choosing this side. Just these blues really work beautifully together. And then I remembered I have my little heart trim, so we can still create that moment on the side here, I think. And I also pulled out these. Now, I think that these colors will be a little bit strong, but I'm going to go for it. And if it's a disaster, so be it. So I found these are just from an op shop. I think they're originally like Adair's, and you like put them on the wall as like a little wall decor in a kid's bedroom or whatever. I'm going to, and they were, you know, quite old. Look, they're sort of falling apart, but that's okay because we're not putting them on the wall. We're putting them in our journal. So I've picked up two of these, two of the smaller ones, and I think I'm going to do my little trick here with the double-sided tape and some fabric, because I think that, because this is the original fabric that I was using in that patchwork, the original patchwork, and I think I'm going to try and use this, because that way we can have some real fabric in this composition. This sort of eggshell blue is sort of talking to this, as well as this little bunny that I'm including just because I love him. And so yes, there's a few different blues, but yes, I'm trying to keep their blues that are sort of all still communicating to each other. So hopefully it won't look too messy. If it does, that's basically what this journal is for. I did also just quickly cut out some roses from this piece of really beautiful vintage wrapping paper. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're just going to get out our double-sided tape here. And we're going to just boldly add it. Now, what's going to be the easiest way? Boldly add it to our butterflies here. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know this is one of my most favorite hacks for adding fabric to paper, card, whatever. It works so well. And it doesn't just have to be fabric. You can use it on ribbon or other paper, of course. So we're going to add that. And then I think what I'm going to do is, oh, it's so sticky. I think what I'm going to do is maybe do a bit of a contrasty moment. So have the blue wings on one and red wings on the other. Or maybe would it be better if I go this way for this one? And we just need enough. Oh no. Muck that up. Oh, there we go. We're going to make it work. We just need enough to basically cover it. And then I'll just sort of salvage a little bit to get these little tail bits. And where else can we take one from? Here, I think. I really hope that this little project will inspire you to maybe think outside the box with some of the little bits and pieces that you've got, rather than when you have an idea for a new journal or a new layout in a page in a journal or whatever, what have you, that you feel the need to buy a whole bunch of stuff, that you can pick on what you've got, and hopefully you've got sort of something in your stash that will accommodate. Oh, that'd be lucky, wouldn't it? This is why we don't throw away scraps ever to a point where it's unhealthy. Okay, here we go. So will that fit? Or just, let's see. I'm going to make that work either way because that's too perfect. But I'm thinking like blue wings on one, and then a red center, and then red wings on the other, and then center. I'm just like, I'm concerned that these colors are a bit too strong here. But I also know that with this type of journal where we're working in all the same color palette, that we need contrast and focus on the page. Otherwise it's going to wash and look very washed. So we're going to try it. We're going to go for it. We're going to be bold and just see how we go. You know, it's an experiment. I'm experimenting with, does that cover that? Let's see. Yes. Although, yeah, I'm worried this is just a little bit fussy for, anyway, I'm just thinking out loud here. All right, here we go. So we're going to add this. You know what I should have done, actually? I mean, it's a bit late now, but I should have actually covered, the white side so that the beautiful like pink on this would be showing through. So we're just going to layer it on. Layer that on, and I've stuck this to my table, of course. This is why I don't have a beautiful clean mat. It just gets so, like, I would always just be worried that I was wrecking the mat if I had like a beautiful clean mat. That being said, I am on the hunt for something a little bigger. So if you have a recommendation for a cutting mat that you recommend, I would love to know. Okay, that's pretty good. And then what we're going to do is I'll do the other one. We will cut these out. And these scissors are already pretty sticky from cutting the sticky paper from earlier, so I hope they cut still. We'll see. We shall see. Oop. I just think that this will add just another little element, textural element on the page, but also it's like a nice little hearkening back to the fact that we're trying to communicate like the message of this being fabric, even though it's a sticker. Well, sorry, I'm talking about the patchwork. That being a sticker, but we're trying to communicate the message that it's patchwork, so that it's fabric. So I think this, having just this little bit of an extra little nod to that on the page by adding some real fabric will just help to seal the deal, so to speak. It's quite fussy. I'm going to cut these out and I will be right back. These are both cut out now, and I did just take a little bit of liberty, as I mentioned. Oh, there, I need to do this bottom bit too, where the fabric didn't quite line up. We're just going to reshape it. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's supposed to look handmade. So to make the little oval bits, probably just need to mark our tape. I've just got a pencil close by, hoping that's going to be enough. Oh, only just. So we just need to make a little circle, a little oval that's going to be big enough to cover it. So we're going to go opposites, yes? I think we'll go opposites. And then same with this one. And then if it's overhanging at the top or the bottom, we can just do what we did with the wings and just, resize it. So we'll just do a little oval. Just cut a little oval. Actually, those scissors are kind of needing a clean now. So just hitting the top and the bottom mark there. Hopefully that's suitable, because this bit will be glued down, so like the wings will still pop up, but the actual like center body part of the butterfly will be stuck down. So how's that? That'll do. Lovely. And then same with this one. Cool. And then I'll just do the same thing here. I'll just trim this down. Because the only person who knows about that is me, and now you. So the person looking at your journal isn't going to notice the difference because they don't know how it was before. All right, so there we go. So they are good to go. And they sort of are going to pop up, but obviously once the book's closed, they're going to get sandwiched in there, but that's okay. And I'm hoping this will all come together. I also did just have a quick play in with my uni ball just to sort of see what it would look like if we add some faux stitching to these. I think I'm going to wait and just see how it's all coming together. It will help them to, as I was saying before, lift off the page, not physically, but metaphorically and visually, lift off the page a little bit better, and frame them out a bit. So we'll see how we go with that. But I think it's time to glue everything on. So let's get about that, shall we? I'm going to try and do this in a timely manner. So we're going to add, I think a dry glue will be sufficient here. And you know, this type of page, it's just collage, you know, it's just like a kind of an elevated collage. We're not, on this particular page, we're not adding any pockets, we're not adding any pullouts, this is just about the visuals, you know. So how do we have it? Oh, this way. So we're going to bring this flush up against this side. And I don't mind a little bit of the music paper peeking out the bottom there. In fact, for this project, it's all about just looking like a really charming scrapbook from a bygone era where I was small. So I'm going to just flatten that down. And then before we stick this all the way down, I'm just going to roughly mark the edge of the page there because I want to glue this down. But I'm trying to decide how to do that. How would we glue this? Maybe with some wet glue. Maybe with some wet glue after the fact. Oof, I don't know. Because I like the whole thing. I don't want to hide it. I don't. Okay, all right. Let's just come across that bridge when we come to it. I don't think it's going to get sandwiched, is my thought, because I just thought, oh, maybe I'll quickly if it needs to be sandwiched, sandwich it. That's the technical term, by the way, for anyone wondering. Oh, she's so pretty and she feels beautiful. So just give it a little squish. Give it a little squish. Now, I'm curious, while I'm doing this, we can have a quick chat. I'm curious about something. I have been hearing in the YouTube community that if you do like a series of videos, that they don't perform as well because people get bored and they don't want to see that. Can you let me know down below if that's true? Because one of the things that I really have enjoyed these last 6 months in developing my channel is working on a full project from start to finish. It's really been like the thing that I've enjoyed most, because that's kind of how I do things in real life. Yes, I always have multiple projects on the go, like, don't we all? But can you let me know if I continue to do more work in this journal, and incorporate different projects, would that be something you're interested in, or do you think you would get bored of that and just maybe want to see something different, all the time? Yeah, let me know. I would love some feedback about that, because obviously, we did the fisherman's basket, and we did, the spider mail journal. I sort of tend to work that way. So I would love some feedback about that if you've got time. Like, leave me a comment down below. Yeah, I'd be very curious, because I've sort of heard mixed things. Like, some people say, like, no, don't do it. It's like, it's not very good for, like, people don't want to see that. And some people say, definitely yes. So I was like, well, that's not very helpful at all, because I only really want to make things that people want to watch, like, in terms of videos, I really want to bring people along while I'm making things that I enjoy making, which is the most important thing. And I would love to know what you think. So any feedback is absolutely welcomed. Don't be shy. So we'll just pop these here. And again, not aiming for perfection. Never. That's not how I roll. The only time we really ever need perfection is when something absolutely needs to line up, right? Or needs to shut, or something like that. Otherwise, just go for it. We're going to cover up some of our quilting, but that's okay. We knew that would happen. So we're just adding, and I'll probably just go around this because it's kind of skinny. I'll probably just go around it a couple of times. Just to make sure she's gonna stay. I think we might get a storm tonight. The weather in Australia right now is out of control, as I'm sure it is around the whole world, but here it just seems to be just, when I was saying earlier about like 4 seasons in one day, that's no joke. That's real. It's just every day you've got the air conditioning on. At nighttime you've got the air conditioning on, but you might also need blankets, or like, yeah, it's just crazy. All right, every so often, just going to give it some, make sure that it stays flexible enough to turn the page. And then our little rose garden up in the corner here. Oh, how precious. So we might, I think I must have had this sitting just a smidgen lower. Oh, it might be too late. It's never too late. Oh, it might be too late actually, because it's transferring some of the pigment from the back of the image. So that's okay. We'll just make do. So we'll put this vintage wrapping paper was so, I hit the vintage wrapping paper jackpot. There was like a whole big bundle of just little scrappies like this, where, obviously it's not really a lot for people to wrap a gift, but like from our point of view as junk journalers, it's just like an art journal is. It's just like perfect, like the perfect amount. It's like, you know, that's big enough to do something with, like whether you fussy cut it or use like a little chunk, which I would be using every square centimeter of that because it's so pretty. But there were all sorts, like Christmas ones, and they were like paper, not like super glossy magazine paper, which always feels like luxury, doesn't it? You get something that feels like paper. It's just got that really beautiful feel to it. I got a bit of glue on my finger. There we go. Now we're going to add, oh my gosh, I love it so much already. It's soft, and it's just exactly what I had in mind for this whole journal. The vibes. Right. Now I really love the little fig phrase that's on this. So if I put it this way where you can read it straight on, it's going to be covered by the lamb. So I think I'll put it that way. And I'm happy to include it because it's reiterating that sort of duck egg blue. What do we call this color? Duck egg blue? I don't know. I guess so. But if we tip it on its side, should still be able to read it. So maybe like that. And we'll just take it up. So I would love to know if you would be, if this has inspired you to maybe look at your ephemera through the lens of, you know, just picking out certain colors and then committing to those certain colors for a whole journal. And it doesn't have to be a big journal, by the way. This is like just, obviously we've got 12 spreads, which seems like a lot, but, you know, I don't think it will be. And, you know, if it is, we can just, you know, fill in a page by just adding like a whole, you know, piece of something as like a bit of breathing room. So we could do that if we get stuck. But yeah, I'd love to know what you think of that idea, like just committing to a couple of colors, not just on your double page spread, but the whole journal. Where does she go? Maybe here. Oh, where does she go? I don't want her to feel like an afterthought, but I also don't want her to like compete with this. Maybe there. Just a little moment. Or maybe should she go up? I think I had her in the roses. No. There she is. She's there. But the roses help just to bring her forward just the slightest bit. So there we go. Oh, I love it. That PVA is keeping that lace in check, which is great. I'm going to use it again. Now let's just make sure we've got the placement correct here. I keep thinking that the glue is not going to, like the glue stick is not going to stick down, because I keep thinking this is fabric but it's not, it's paper. So of course, and it's matte paper. So of course the glue stick is just going to stick, but my brain keeps getting tricked. Oh, do we want anything on the back of the wings? No, they're never going to be sticking out that far. But certainly you could do both sides. So we don't want them like, I think they'll still show up. Let's see. I don't really, do we know what brand these are? These are just like, I thrifted them, of course. I don't know. Avery probably, yeah, Avery. But I just like these the little dotty bit. Oh yeah, that's much better. Just a little something to indicate like some movement, you know. Might not be able to see it so well up here. Now, all the while, I'm still trying to decide if we need to add faux stitching. At the moment, we don't have any, I was going to say handmade elements, but that's not what I mean. I mean like hand drawn elements, anything stamped, anything artistic, any mark making, which there will be in this journal, but I haven't included any on this page yet. So what do we think? Maybe yes. And I think that might just finish us off here. So let's be bold. The worst that can happen is nothing. While those butterflies are sticking down, I'll just trim this lace off. What type of bird was that? Did you hear that? Oh, I do love this. This is so cute. So cute. All right, let's go for this. Let's go for this. So I'm just using, this is my Uniball Eye Micro. I use it for all of my like work like this. And we're just going to add some really light dashes. The pen will do all the work. Just going to make it feel just that little bit more like patchwork. And by adding black, we're just sort of picking up some more of those darker elements that are on the page already. Oh, don't mind my dishwasher's going as well. Sorry, everyone. And I had to open the door again because it was so hot. So we're just going to just help reiterate also that this is the focal point. I mean, there are a few focal points, but I think because these butterflies are so dark, they are sort of popping and lifting. Maybe just one more little row of mark making along the edge here. Just to finish off, make everything feel a bit more intentional. Frame out the edge of the page. And this shouldn't go through, this pen is very, can tend to bleed through the page. And this paper is very thin, but remember we lay it up 3 pages per page. So we should be okay. Oh my goodness. Cute as. Right, so what did we do today? Let's do a quick recap before we finish up. So just give that a moment to dry. So we took our basic book cover that had no pages in it from the trolleys. We added some eyelets here, and we measured out our pages, which were too small for this particular cover, but we chose them because they've got this really fun blue edge to it. And then we extended those out with some music paper front and back after having sandwiched 3 pages together per page. That's going to give us some depth. It's going to give the pages some weight so that they can carry all of this work that we're doing, as well as reiterating that blueness, because obviously one page you would not see it very well. And then we set about taking a page from a magazine and doing some faux quilting by way of making some square little stickers by scanning some patchwork fabrics in the scanner. We added those in, did some real stitching around each of those, and yes, we did cover up a bunch of them, but we know it's there, and it's just peeking out where it needs to communicate that message. Did some fussy cutting. We made some fun little 3D real fabric butterflies here, and did some collage, as well as some really gentle mark making and adding some mixed media. What a fabulous day at the craft desk we've had. Oh, I've had such a wonderful time with you today. I really hope you have enjoyed this. And as I mentioned earlier, please let me know if you're interested in seeing more episodes in this blue and red and white journal that I'm putting together. I would love to share more with you. So please let me know. I've had a really wonderful day with you. Thank you so much for crafting with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. I guess take care of yourselves till then. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.